as folks are coming in, would love for you to just drop your name and your school district or where you work in the chat. Maybe share if you've been to the ASU+GSV Summit previously. And we would love to just start building a little community here as we are getting going. So for those of you I haven't had the chance to meet yet, my name is Julia Hieser. I'm our SVP of Program and Community here at the Summit. I'm joined today by my colleagues, Abby Pryor, who is our VP of Educator Engagement, and Danielle Hersenberg, who is one of our community event planners and managers. So excited to all be here today. The three of us have worked on the showcase for the last several years. So excited to bring back this AMA and hopefully get all of your questions answered. So how we're going to structure this time is Abby and I have about 10 minutes of just some initial kind of framing, overview, kind of what the summit is, what the showcase is. And then we will open it up to any questions that you have. Of course, feel free to put questions in the chat as we go. And if they're quick, Danielle will be able to answer them. And then if they require a voiceover, we'll make sure we get to that at the end of the call. So before we get started on the showcase, wanted to back up first and talk a little bit about what the summit is, why we engage our K-12 community, and how we've done that over the past couple of years. So I will pass it over to Abby to do a little bit of framing.
Thanks, Julia. So for folks who might be new or starting to familiarize yourself with GSV, I'm going to share a little bit about kind of the GSV family, the GSV platform, as Julia mentioned. So we are investors, connectors, and conveners. We are truly a global community and an investment platform with the North Star that all people have equal access to the future. And we believe that innovations at scale in what we call the pre-K to gray learning and skills sector are critical to achieving that end. So we have a couple of arms here of the GSV platform, as Julia mentioned. I'm going to share a little bit about GSV Ventures and the ASU+GSV Summit. So GSV Ventures was founded in 2016 as the investment arm of GSV. We are a multi-stage venture fund that invests in the most important innovations across the global pre-K to gray landscape. And as you all might be familiar, we also have our flagship convening that is heading into its 16th year, and that's the ASU+GSV Summit that we host in partnership with the innovative Arizona State University. The summit draws more than 7,000 people, and if you have been or heard anything about it, you know that it is not a traditional ed conference. It is truly a dynamic meeting ground for people across all sectors. So from K-12 to higher ed, corporate L&D, workforce development, investors, philanthropists, everybody there passionate about pushing forward education innovation. And so it's grown from this niche gathering of 200 people in one small conference room to a global event now with over 7,000 attendees from over 130 countries. And so it is really you, our K-12 educators and leaders, that are so foundational to our mission that you see here on the screen. You are truly leading change and innovation in the ecosystem, and from every angle and in the work that we do day in and day out, and it's our mission to really center you, your voices, your experiences, your leadership, and honor you across all the different arms of our GSV platform. So I'm going to hand it back to Julia to share a little bit more detail about some of the different events that we host each year.
Yes, thanks, Abby. So I assume that you all are here because you're interested in the showcase, which is at our summit event, as Abby named. We do also host an event every February in India for the past couple of years, planning that again for the beginning of February in 2025. And then last year was our inaugural AI show. It was called the Air Show last year. This year, just the AI show, where we welcomed over 10,000 educators, teachers, parents, professionals, higher ed leaders to the convention center in San Diego a couple of days before the summit. So just wanted to share a little bit about kind of what we do. And we are just really proud of not only what we've built, but specifically our K-12 community. So the next slide shows a little bit about our K-12 community, kind of over the years, how we've grown. We have every year at Summit over 1,000 leaders from from 46 states working hard to get those last couple of states represented this year. We have 80% of the top 10 largest school districts represented. And then we had over 150 sessions. This it says at the show, but it's also at the summit. So we are really excited to have a lot of great content offerings for K-12 leaders at both events. This year, our theme is learning at the speed of light. So we are excited to engage with all of you around that theme come April. So with that background, wanted to get in now to the topic of the hour, which is the 2025 Education Innovation Showcase. Applications are now open. So Danielle can go ahead and drop that link in the chat. I think she already did, but we can go ahead and make sure y'all have that. And this showcase was really designed to honor K-12 systems leaders. So we really want to make sure at the summit there are higher ed leaders, there's investors, there's ed tech, but we also know that K-12 leaders and teachers innovate every single day in their classroom. Fun fact, the three of us were all former educators at one point, so we know how hard you work day in and day out, and we want to honor and celebrate that. So last year we tried this out. It worked really well, where we have actually two categories that you can apply to. We have our pre-implementation, which is an idea category, and that can be any idea you have around innovation where you've done some research, engaged some stakeholders, but have not yet implemented your idea. So there's one category, and then we also have our post-implementation or impact category, and that is when you have meaningfully and measurably implemented an innovation and have some tangible results. So we use a standardized rubric that kind of measures, if you go into the application, it's very easy to see it's, innovation, impact, insights, inclusiveness. So it's really easy to see the questions that you are answering, what our rubric is. And we actually read every application multiple times. We have over 35 partner organizations that come in and help us read all the applications to determine that top 10. So we have 5 in each category. We have 5 impact and 5 idea that we bring to the summit live to share their ideas on stage. So as you probably, I can go to the next slide, Danielle, but as you probably know, the applications are open. We do have a hard deadline of January 6th, which we know is right after the winter break. So hopefully you can spend some time between now and then getting your application ready. I'll go over in a couple slides what the application actually is. Then, like I said, we read all of them and we share all of our status updates via email. We announce the top 10, and then the top 10 are invited to come live to the summit to be on stage. And then as part of that, you receive, if you're a member of the top 10, complimentary registration to the summit and 4 nights of hotel accommodation. So we're really excited to be able to offer that again this year. That's our timeline for the showcase. Next up, we have the grand prizes, and I'll turn it over to Abby to talk more about the prizes.
Awesome. So all of our top 10 innovators will be receiving a suite of prizes that you see here, in addition to the 2 category prizes, which we'll talk about next. So all of our top 10 folks are going to receive an hour virtual consultancy with Leap Innovations, 90-minute online design sprint with Transcend, a complimentary registration to the 2025 ASU+GSV Summit, and 4 nights of hotel accommodations in San Diego. And then, as Julia mentioned, we have the 2 categories of applications. And so the winner of the idea category will receive these 5 prizes. So 30 hours of consulting, receiving training on the Digital Promise Inclusive Innovation Framework, complimentary registration and accommodation to any League of Innovative Schools convening or event, 20 hours of personalized virtual consulting support through Leap. I'm not going to read this all word for word, but complimentary half-day virtual design sprint with Transcend, and a sub-grant from Educating All Learners, as well as complimentary registration to next year's ASU+GSV Summit. And as Julia mentioned, yes, this is all on the website, but hopefully you're seeing really the breadth and depth of support and prizes that you'll be receiving, the winner will be. And in our impact category, some similar categories here, some similar prizes as well, both again with consulting from Digital Promise, personalized virtual consulting support as well with Leap, some 1-day in-person design sprint with Transcend, and again, a complimentary registration to next year's ASU+GSV Summit.
Mute, there we go. I wanted to just make space for why we believe that education leaders should apply. So again, we really create and celebrate this community. Obviously, the headline here is we want to make sure that you all have a chance to share your impact with all of our audience. So if you haven't been to the summit before, we like to say kind of the magic is in the mix. And as I said earlier, you might be sitting next to a university president and an entrepreneur and an investor. So it's really exciting. Just a lot of different people are here. The last 2 years, our showcase has been at full capacity in terms of audience, with lots of different people engaging and attending. And then we also do our best to try and catalog all of the innovations year over year. We're actually doing a website redesign right now to be able to kind of have a library of all the different innovations, which you'll also be able to share out, oh, we were, featured on this website, and that'll be something in perpetuity that you can go and learn from, but also be featured on. So we are really centering this around elevating and celebrating innovation in our K-12 community. And so these are okay, so that was 13 minutes. So Abby and I went 3 minutes over, but I promised you 10, but hopefully you kind of have a better picture now of the summit and kind of the showcase and how it fits in. We have answers to all of these questions that you see on the screen right now. Happy to click through those slides, but want to pause and see. I know there was one question that looks like was already answered in the chat, but would invite people to either come off mute or write in the chat any questions you have about the showcase, the application, the deadlines, what's required. Again, we can click through these if there's no questions yet, but want to pause and give space for anyone to ask questions live. Good question, Sharon. I see. I'll just give voice. So the question is, what if your innovation does not include AI or technology? It's just an out-of-the-box idea. So you'll see on the rubric, one of the questions is about how you've implemented technology. So it does not need to be a new technology solution. We do ask that somehow your innovation has used technology, but the rubric actually measures how you've used it, not if you've created a new technology or done a school-wide, system or app or anything like that. It's really about how you've appropriately leveraged technology based on what your innovation is. And if you have specific questions, happy to engage with you, but it's not necessarily like creating a new technology. It's just appropriately leveraging and using. Thank you, Abby. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions yet. So let me click through these next couple, or Danielle, if you can click through these next couple slides, and then we'll pause again to see if there's questions. So we already covered this one and kind of what it is. And again, all of this is on our website. I think the next slide has some more details. Oh yeah, so this is a question we get all the time. What if my innovation is just for one school or a subset of my, school community or a subset of my district? And we, want obviously to identify projects that, influence system change and can fuel scalable impact. But again, the initial size should be appropriate for the audience identified. So as long as you in your application share with us, we're starting this for a pilot of 50 and here's why, and here's the impact on that community, that's fine. It doesn't need to be a full scale solution yet, but we are looking for solutions that can scale. So as long as you've appropriately identified your audience and projects and learnings and that it can be scalable. This is a question we also get all the time, who should apply? So we are asking that it's for K-12 schools, systems, state. You need to be actively working in a system, a school, a district, a network. We do know that many partner, collaborate with companies and nonprofits. Some of our winners last year we are a consortium that work with school districts. That is fine as long as the application itself comes from the school or school district. And then thank you, Danielle, for that in terms of who should apply. even if you are, a school district who's partnering with a nonprofit and you are invited to be a part of the top 10, that complimentary registration will go to the K-12 leader, not the nonprofit leader. So we really want to make sure this is an award that is really celebrating K-12 leaders. If you're here and you're like, but I'm a nonprofit or higher ed, we hear that feedback every year that we do need to replicate this in both the nonprofit and higher ed world, and would love to be able to do that someday. But for right now, it is K-12 focused. And then the application deadline is Monday, the January 6th at midnight. If you started an application, it should have auto saved. So you can always go back in and finish your application. If you have any questions about the application, you can email myself. I'll put my email in the chat, or Danielle, and we can help with your application.
Awesome. And Julia, Catherine asked, they have been using a tech tool in an innovative way, but are only in the first month of implementation. Would you recommend that they apply for the pre-implementation or the idea category?
I think it would depend on what your results are. And also, it sounds like by April, you will be a little bit further. So I would probably recommend IDEA, but if it's something that you're seeing immediate impact on and can speak measurably to those results, then you could certainly do. You don't have to be all the way through impact to apply to the impact category, but do need to have some measurable results to be able to speak to that on the application. Thanks, Abby. We can go to the next slide, Danielle. So what is required for the application? So it's written kind of basic questions. We do ask, and I'm glad this question is here, we do ask for a video that just kind of explains your project and impact. This does not need to be fancy. It does not need to be produced. It can be you literally sitting at your screen, pressing record on a Google Meet or Zoom or whatever. You could even use your cell phone. We had people do that last year. This is really just to so we can hear voiceover of what your project is. Some people sometimes choose to bring in, a student or a staff member to also talk about the project. You don't need to. We are really just looking to be able to understand your project. And 2 years ago, we were able to kind of make a compilation video of all the top 10 videos. We house them on our website. So we do use them, but want to be really clear, it does not need to be produced. If you have produced a video as part of your project, you can certainly submit that. So we had last year, like somebody did a news story on this school and they just submitted that news story as their video. That's fine. It does not need to be commercially produced. But if you have something that is commercially produced, you are certainly welcome to submit it as part of the application. Yes, video quality, not part of the rubric. And then, as I shared, our rubric is issue, innovation, impact, insight, and inclusion. So in the application, you'll select if you're submitting for the idea or impact category, and then the questions will appear based on that. There are slightly different questions just based on where you're at in the innovation, but really just looking for you to explain what you were trying to solve, how you did that innovatively, what the impact was, or what you hope the impact will be on the idea category, what insights you've learned and shared, and then how you've included, diverse and different perspectives in your innovation. So that's kind of what we're looking for. But again, the questions are all on the application. And then we've already talked about the benefits in terms of what you receive. I believe this is already answered in the chat, but yes, it's one registration and 4 nights of hotel as part of the for the top 10. We already talked about the grand prizes. So I'm not sure if we have, and then we don't share exactly who's reviewed your application, but as I said, we have multiple people reviewing each application. And there is an open-ended response where a reviewer can write feedback. We don't require it, but I would say 99% of the time, people do write at least a sentence or two, and we will share that with you after. So you can always see the feedback that was written about your innovation. And then we'll share those decisions in early February. And if you're not selected, we do have an educator discount to attend the summit. And we always get this question, if I've applied previously. I think I see some of our previous applicants on this call. Yes, you can apply again. You can also apply to both categories if you're looking at a district level and you're doing an idea in one school and impact district-wide. You can submit 2 applications in the same category. We really don't have any rules about kind of how many applications, or if you've applied, or even if you've won before, if you can submit again. That's definitely welcomed. We are excited to celebrate all innovations. Kelly, it's a good question. Last year we had over 100 applications total. I think it probably leaned heavier on impact than idea, but idea was new last year. So I wonder if that will reverse this year as people have maybe had more time to think about applying in that idea category. But last year I think we had more impact nominations than idea nominations. I think that might be our last FAQ slide. So again, oh no, so major dates, again, we've talked about this. Application went live. Today is our AMA. The deadline is the 6th, and we will send notifications, we hope at the end of January, but that is in red because it's maybe a flexible, maybe it takes us a couple days to get everything out, but we will announce the top 10 in early February. And then this wasn't in the questions, but the showcase is historically on the Tuesday afternoon of the summit. And I think that's it. So are there any other, we'll pause and see if there's any other questions, either live or in the chat.
I put this in the chat, Julia, but this is just a note. Once you are notified if you're in the top 10, the turnaround time for the registration and the hotel is going to be really quick, probably within like a week or two, just because of our deadlines internally. So just, be ready for the notifications and who you would be recommending to receive the complimentary registration and hotel so that we can move quickly on those too.
Yes, thanks, Danielle. And I see a question from Sharon in the chat about scholarships. Danielle runs our scholarship program, so I'll let her answer that as well.
We are not currently taking any nominations for our K-12 scholarship program, but we can add people to our wait list just because we've already allocated all of our K-12 leader scholarships. And within the next few weeks, we'll know better where we are with our capacity for those. So if you want to email us at, I'll put it in the chat in a second, their scholarships mailbox, we can add them to our wait list, add you or whoever you would like to add to our wait list. And the other thing is no one will be able to receive the complimentary registration if they are already registered for the summit. So you will have to be completely new to be a registrant to get this award. Well, not the award, but the additional prize of complimentary registration.
Okay, awesome. And then the other question about how many applications do you guys typically get for, not scholarships, just for the showcase finally?
Yeah, so the past couple, last year we had over 100, the year before a little bit less. But again, it really, we had way more in the impact category than the idea category last year. But I don't know if that pattern will remain true. But about 100 is what we usually land around for applications. Abigail, if you received a scholarship, then you would not receive that part, but you would still receive the hotel accommodations as part of that's part of the top 10. And this year is also the first year we're able, thanks to our amazing partners at Digital Promise Leap, at Transcend, and Educating All Learners, we actually have prizes for all of the top 10 for the first time this year, which we're really excited about. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. I'm not the best at wait time anymore. I've been out of the classroom for several years. Let's go ahead and then close us out, and then happy to stay on the line. If people do have questions, or of course, I put my email in the chat, you can always email me. So the sponsors of our showcase are the Summit, Digital Promise, Leap, Transcend, Educating All Learners, and we're just so grateful to them for their support of bringing the showcase to life, ensuring that we have really amazing prizes for our winners. We really focused on learning and advancing your innovation even further. So that is who we are grateful and thrilled to partner with along the way. So just a huge thank you from our K-12 team for joining us. Tiffany Taylor, who was unable to be here today, but is the fearless leader of our K-12 team, myself, Abby, and Danielle. Just thank you so much for your time and your excitement and interest in applying for the showcase. We will go ahead and hang on the line for another minute or two if folks have questions. Otherwise, we'll be able to share this recording, and then you can always email us or go to the website. All the FAQs and information is also there.